Hey guys, it's Nicola from Singer's Secret. Now today's video is pretty much like an extreme demand video. So many of you have asked me what are the best and the worst drinks to be consuming while you're singing. So today I'm going to take you through firstly the 4 worst drinks to consume while you're singing and then the 4 best drinks. Now these lists are based on my opinion, which is based on, the experience that I've had singing out at gigs and also from feedback from singing students and other friends who are also singers. And if you do know of another drink that I haven't covered in these lists, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Alright, starting with the 4 worst drinks to consume while you're singing. Number 1 on this list has got to be milk. Even if you're not lactose intolerant and you do tolerate dairy quite well, milk is a phlegm producing drink. So that means that when you consume milky drinks, hot chocolates, milkshakes, anything with like a lot of milk in it, especially during a gig, it's going to cause some of that phlegm build up to start. You're going to end up having to clear your throat and maybe even cough, which is just not something that you want while you're on the gig. So do yourself a favour and either firstly cut down on the amount of milk that you're consuming if you are susceptible to getting quite a lot of phlegm production and you know that you don't tolerate milk very well. And secondly, if you do tolerate milk well, I'll have milk in my cereal on a day that I'm going to gig, but during the gig I don't drink milk. So secondly, just avoid it at the gig. The second offender on my worst drinks list is green tea. Now this one can be quite surprising because green tea is, good for you. We know it's got antioxidants and all these benefits, but for singers it can dry your throat out. I'm not a herbalist, so I don't know why it dries your throat out. I just know that it does. So there are some better options for teas that you can choose to drink while you're singing, because I do believe in drinking some tea when you're singing, because it does, like the warmth of the tea does help with your voice and you keep yourself nice and lubricated as well. But yeah, avoid green tea. The third offender on my worst list is wine. Unless you're getting a special type of wine, most of it has preservatives. And I think that it's these preservatives that do attribute to the drying out of your throat. I also find that because it does dehydrate you, you end up having to drink more water to sort of compensate for drinking wine. There are some better alcoholic choices that you could, go for at a gig that don't dry your voice out, and I'll explain some of them in the best drinks list coming up next. But wine, yeah, try and steer clear of that. And the last type of drink on my worst offender list is anything fizzy. So this is sodas, bubbly water, champagne, anything that's got fizz in it. And the reason is because it can cause you to become gassy and you can burp into the microphone. It's not a good look, you know what I mean? Like, hello, how are you going into the microphone? Yeah, if you really want to avoid anything that's going to make you hiccup or burp or anything like that while you're singing, because it's just a pain in the ass, especially if you're in the middle of a phrase and then you get a bit of indigestion from the fizzy drink. Yeah, it's just not a good look. If you want to be professional, just steer clear of the fizzies. Now moving on to the 4 best drinks to consume while you're singing. Number 1 at the top of my list is peppermint tea. Peppermint is fantastic for clearing you up and reducing phlegm. And phlegm is the enemy of all singers, again, because you don't want to have to cough it up and it kind of gets in the way of the sound of your voice. So peppermint tea does a really good job of keeping you nice and clear, especially if you drink it regularly. So I always have a cup of tea on me when I'm doing my practice because I like the warmth and also to keep my vocals very lubricated. You should always be consuming some kind of liquid, water is the best. And then, things like peppermint tea, something nice and warm while you're doing your practice. I also keep peppermint tea in a flask with me, a thermos flask, when I'm out on the gig. If I know that that venue doesn't necessarily serve peppermint tea, because you know, usually you get given gigs, drinks when you're at gigs for free most of the time. So I always order peppermint tea if I'm singing at a cafe or something like that. But if I'm going to somewhere where I know there won't be any tea available, I'll just take a flask. Now, the second best drink that you can consume for singing is licorice root tea. Now, this has a very different use compared to peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is for clearing up phlegm. Licorice root tea is for soothing your throat if you've got a cold or you've got raspiness or you've got a bit of a sore throat. Licorice root tea acts like a numbing agent in some ways. It does really lubricate your throat and has these properties in there which just soothes everything back there. So if you are experiencing like a bit of raspiness, you know when sometimes your voice has that kind of edge to it, but you know you still need to sing, reach for the licorice root tea. It's great, and it also doesn't taste too licoricey if you're not like a fan of aniseed. It has a much sweeter and milder taste, so it's actually really quite pleasant, but it does a great job of just soothing your throat if it's sore. And my third drink on the best list of drinks to consume while you're singing is port. Now, this is an alcoholic choice that you could potentially make if you're out on a gig, and I always go to port if I'm having a sore throat day. Licorice root tea is the natural alternative, port's the harder kind of stuff, but I love port. It's so sweet and tasty and nice, and you know, you only need a little bit. Don't be like over consuming the port. You don't want to be downing that stuff on your gigging, because you can get drunk pretty quickly on port. It's pretty potent stuff. But you know, if you are having a really bad sore throat day, go and get port. Like if you've got the flu, for example, and licorice root tea just isn't cutting it, go for the port. Port has gotten me through so many tours where I was kind of really raspy and, you know, not singing very well. And I was just thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get through this gig? You know, I've got to perform tonight and tomorrow night. Port has saved me every time. And my last best drink, and this is actually probably the best drink that you can consume when you're singing, hands down above everything else, is water. Make sure that you have a nice big glass of water before you start to sing. That'll really lubricate your vocals, and then keep sipping water throughout your practice or your gig or whatever your session is. So there you go. Those are my 4 worst and best drinks to consume while you're singing. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe and comment as well. And if you would like some free singing training, head on over to singersecret.com and you can grab it there. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.